Curing or even treating sickle cell anemia could cost one his life savings. Experts say that it costs over ₦1 million to do stem cell transplant in Nigeria, while against the backdrop of the World Sickle Cell celebrated each year on July the 19th, a survivor who has lived with the disorder into adulthood spoke to Channels Television on how the condition can be managed.
Shirley Chinyere was barely 10 when she had her first attack, and for about 5 months, she remained in the hospital. Today, she has survived into adulthood and now educates others about the dangers of sickle cell anemia. Shirley also told Channels TV in an earlier interview about the ordeals and stigmatization she had to endure growing up with the disorder.
At age 10, I had a major, and it took me, I was rushed into the hospital on the 18th of March and was out on the 6th of August. My parents were surprised. I lost a sister. Our firstborn was also sickler, and so we lost her to sickle cell. And when I had mine at age 10, it was I was almost crippled. It really brought me down. My esteem, it affected my esteem, it affected my personality, it affected everything about me.
Her father also related his experience managing a child with sickle cell.
The ordeal is something you don't even pray for your enemy to have. It's so terrible. It's so terrible. It's not something we can recount as at now. But I want to say that, if anything, this country should come up with great awareness to ensure that, upcoming children do not pass through this kind of ordeal.
Although recent medical breakthroughs like stem cell transplant can now reverse the disorder, the treatment is far from the reach of the poor. But survivors and medical experts say carriers can still survive with alternative treatment and help break the circle of sickle cell anemia by knowing one's genotype before going into marriage.
AS genotype people need to be informed, need to know that, look, the consequences abound. If you go into marriage, AS, it is equal to death. In fact, it is an incurable disease, and we have to understand that this is a disease that has come to that is in Africa, and we have to tell the public that it is preventable.
By knowing their genotype, we can now know how to manage the individual case, because if they are sickle cell disease carriers, then we now know how to treat them, as my earlier speaker was said, give them folic acid every day, and encourage them to take plenty of water. Because as long as they're not dehydrated and they don't have infections, then they can live longer and achieve their purpose in life. The most important thing is breaking the cycle. It's not a death sentence, as it's been said earlier, but everybody must know their genotype. And again, encourage people to go for what we call genetic counseling. What that entails is that people should know their genotype before they fall in love.
Nigeria bears a huge burden of sickle cell anemia, as about 130,000 children are born annually with sickle cell, with some set to die before they are 5 years old.
President Muhammadu Buhari has moved into the Aso Rock Villa and is expected to pass his first night there. The president has been staying at the Defense House in Abuja since he was sworn in, and his government inaugurated on May the 29th. According to the president's media aides, renovation work, which was being carried out since the former president Goodluck Jonathan moved out of the palace, is the reason he delayed in moving into the official residence of the president. The information was confirmed to Channels Television by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. The United Nations estimates that about 10% of the world's population, which is roughly 650 million people, live with one form of disability or the other. The World Health Organization records shows that of this number, 285 million are visually impaired. While these organizations are working to reduce an increase in these numbers, the responsibility to cater for the visually impaired lies with both the government and members of the society in which they reside. Our correspondent, Amy Thompson, visited some visually impaired persons in Lagos State and tells us how they cope with everyday living.
In Meron area of Lagos, Mrs. Fumi Gbadamosi, the founder of Women and Children with Disability Initiative, a 4-year-old NGO, expresses her passion of caring for the visually impaired in an apartment which serves as her home and office. For now, she has 4 children whose parents have willingly handed them over to her to cater for because of their inability to give them the special attention they require.
People are so ashamed to identify with their disabled children. So anytime I just get the information, I just walk up to the parents and educate them on the usefulness of these children, and I volunteer myself.
Mr. and Mrs. Olu Benson are both visually impaired, but still manage to earn their living from making perfumes, soap, and the likes, a trade which they learned for survival.
I went to blind school in Shodi for 2 years, where we were taught how to, live off our impediments.
Esther has the major responsibility of going to the market to purchase the items needed.
Well, if I get to market, I usually make friends at market, joking with them. That's the way I usually got the customer, and immediately I got the customer. If I bought anything, they will ask me that what the next thing I want to buy. So I will explain to them.
These skills for survival is what the Nigeria Society for the Blind Vocational Training Center specializes on. From here, they're expected to be employable and fend for themselves.
We still try to lend a voice to employers of labor. And I'm using this medium to say, please do not discriminate against them.
The center also asks for government continuous assistance.
But just of recent, the Lagos State government has magnanimously approached us and given scholarship to every student. For the past 3 years now, we have been enjoying that.
A bill titled An Act to Ensure Full Integration of Persons with Disabilities and to establish a National Commission for Persons with Disabilities and vest it with the responsibility for their education, health care and protection of their social, economic and civil rights is presently awaiting the President's assent, having gone through the National Assembly. Before that becomes law to cater for these special people, organizations like the Nigeria Society for the Blind and individuals like Mr. and Mrs. Olu Benson have to continuously live on the goodwill of Nigerians, which they hope will increase to meet their growing needs. Innie Thompson reporting for Channels Television News.
There was a time when Ofada town could boast of the production of rice in large quantity. Today, the reverse is the case due to the activities of land grabbers who have sold most of the land to the community developers there, thereby rendering the farmers idle. Our correspondent, Chris Ellems, reports.
Curiosity brings us to this town called Ofada in Ogun State. Our aim is to find out the relationship between this town and the famous Ofada rice. So we take a ride around town in search of either a farm or a processing mill. An inviting lush greenery. And also the smell of fresh roasted corn pervades the air. The people of Ofada are predominantly Egbas, who migrated from Abeokuta in the early 19th century. But today the town is home to people from all walks of life, largely because of its strategic location as a connecting town to lots of other areas in Ogun State. However, our search for Ofada rice brings us to this farmyard, which looks quite abandoned. But since we couldn't make much sense out of it, we decided to visit the palace of the Olu of Ofada for clues on Ofada town and the seemingly elusive rice. His Royal Highness Oba Rabiu Adewumi welcomes us to his palace, after which he leaves us with the Balogun, Alhaji Sulaiman Adebayo.
We produced rice in Ofada before the development, but now the villages under Ofada, they are now the people planting the rice. When they plant the rice, they bring it to the town for the normal, for the for selling and all those things. But we still plant the rice from the villages, understand? But we don't plant it no further now because of the development, one, and because of the land grabbers. Because all the land we've been using to plant rice, the land grabbers has taken over from us. So the land, all the land.
The activities of these land grabbers have greatly affected life in this community, as their resources seem to have become the exclusive preserve of a few. All they can now do is grow cassava and also plead for government intervention.
Since the land grabber has taken over the land from us, we don't have any source of income again. You understand? So the local or state government, the little something was supposed to be our income. The state government has taken over everything from us.
In the meantime, a major road construction has been ongoing here, which when done would open up the town further to development and possibly put a seal on ever having Ofada rice grown and processed in Ofada town. Unless, of course, there is a deliberate government policy to revive and keep the Ofada rice legacy alive. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.
Relations between the military and a community in Plateau State, north-central Nigeria, have turned sour following the killing of 2 women, allegedly by a group of soldiers. Residents of Tagwam village say that the introduction of a military check in the area is the major cause of the bad blood. Our community report traces the issues behind the animosity between the community and the security task force.
Tisala, now you're talking.
These vandalized sandbags are the remains of a dismantled military checkpoint in Tagwam village, a suburb of Haipang district in Barkinladi local government area of Plateau State. Residents of the community take advantage of its location along the road leading to the Yakubu Gowon airport to sell their farm produce at the roadside. According to the residents, an attempt by the Special Military Task Force to reintroduce a checkpoint is resisted, leading to a confrontation. 2 of the roadside traders are allegedly shot dead when the soldiers attempt to disperse the angry villagers.
They start mounting roadblock. Then the indigenous of the community and women who sells potato by the roadside start protesting that why are they blocking our business site. They now say it is government road. Suddenly, they start shooting guns. So people were running away from their site. A woman was coming towards to my shop. I was standing by the door here. Immediately she shouted, "They have shot me."
As I just stayed there, sitting at the commotion, immediately I had gunshots. I didn't even run immediately because they were shooting at the air. And I just saw one, he just pointed a gun at me. And the bullet is even there. You can see the sign there at the wall. The bullet hit. That was the place that I was standing. So I just even escaped narrowly into the shop.
What could be responsible for the community rejecting the checkpoint meant to provide security for both travelers and residents alike, especially on the highway?
It was sometime in 2010. There was army here, STS. They were here, and there was something that happened, which we said we don't want soldier. They went and killed a family of 8. On that day, they run by 4:30 in the morning, and we recovered some ID cards of the army.
One of the victims narrates how he barely escaped with his life after bullets grazed his head.
Abunda faru jiya shine
We were with the unit commandant of Apang when the soldiers came, over 60 of them in the Hilux van, all masked. The sight of soldiers and our people attracted our women to the place, but we told them to stay aside as everything is under control. Before we knew what was happening, they started shooting at our women. I was trying to control the people to avoid them being shot, only for me to see blood streaming down my cloth. That was when I realized I was brushed by a bullet.
The chairman of Barkin-Ladi local government says in spite of his personal intervention in the dispute, members of the military task force chose to behave unprofessionally.
You see, the problem we are having here is that some of these security agencies or security men that have been brought here to curtail the problem we have on ground is that they don't liaise with we that we are the chief executive of the local government. Had it been the STF inform us, we would have been able, or rather we are in a position to come back home, inform our people, educate our people the importance of this thing. But that was not done.
However, spokesman for the task force denies the community's allegations of the killings, insisting that the soldiers had acted in self-defense.
In fact, the crowd got so rowdy that they proceeded to pelt troops with stones and very sharp objects, and the checkpoint itself dismantled. While this was ongoing, a group of men proceeded to block the road, burning tires and vandalizing vehicles in the general area. It was in a bid to bring all of this under control. Personnel even came under shots, under gunfire from a group of men who were standing by.
Given the bad blood and mutual distrust between the community and the task force, relations need to be redefined if the military is to return there for security operations without another round of bloodshed.
Now you're talking.
The art world has a new haven to explore its creative juices. Well, this sanctuary is a studio of mode located in Lagos, southwest of Nigeria. This art center is the brainchild of Mode Aderinoku, who created the space to provide a platform where expression connects with society. Art Review tonight welcomes the studio of Mode into the art fold.
Fulfillment can be described as the achievement of something desired, promised, or predicted. This meaning certainly fits the bill when talking about Mode Aderinoku. Her dream of playing a part in the art world beyond being an artist is now a reality. It's the opening of Studio of Mode, where her creativity is on display. Guests are taken on a tour to feel the experience of the studio.
I really enjoy the textures. Let's even just start from the space itself. I love the fact that it's not just white. The terracotta, it feels a little more closed in, but it allows us to like feel normal and be able to interact with the art and really look at it, because we don't feel, oh my God, I can't touch this, I have to behave a certain way. You can just be free, because the space itself, the terracotta, the coolness, and even the blue, it just allows you to feel more free because you don't feel like you're in a stiff environment. So starting with that, I love.
This man has his eyes on two. For these other art enthusiasts, their excitement is in the art of location. Then it's left to each to speak on the art piece that caught the eye.
It's refreshing to see something different, something that you haven't seen before, something that is not common, and that's what I have seen here, and all. But back to the painting last Giddy, I loved it. It was interesting. It was like playing a puzzle, and for someone like me that I'm not very good with puzzle, it was interesting having to think, okay, what's that? Which is that? Where is that? Where is that? And all. And then I had my little daughter there to also trying to figure out where is this, where is that, and all. So it was interesting. That is interesting.
From what I've seen, I'm inspired to be an artist, and I think I work very hard.
I've come in here and I've seen works that I can connect with. I like the stuff she's done on Lagos. She's got Balogun, she's got the Arts Theatre. It's beautiful. That connects with me very well. Of course, there are the other ones that are a bit above me. So I'm impressed.
Every parent's pride is witnessing the success of their children, and this mother is over the moon.
I remember taking her for an interview at the very first school that she was to attend at the age of about 5. All the questions she was asked, she never answered. But if she was told to draw anything or to write anything, she did it. So that's, thinking back now, I now realize that it's a trait of expressing herself from her hand, with her hands.
For the creative director, nothing yet compares to this feeling.
I'm just feeling overwhelmed and I can't wait till it's done, honestly. But I'm really, really grateful. That's what I like that people take from this is that they always say it's unique, it's different, something they haven't seen before, and that's what I was really trying to create, something unique and things. So that's the reception I've gotten so far. People say it's really nice and really beautiful. They really like the walls, they really like the space, and they feel really good in the space.
The bars in the hall is for everyone to keep a good eye on Studio of Mode to see what other interesting works of art come out of this space.
Modea Daniel Studios making its grand entry into the art fold. And next on the news at 10, Roger Federer wins a record 8th Hailey Open title. That's in a moment. Stay with us.